Welcome back to Math Lessons via Screencast-O-Matic. We are on lesson 9.3 today. That's on page 460 of your book. I hope that you have turned there and have it out in front of you as well as some paper that you can be working these problems with me. We're just going to talk about changing percents to decimals today and also decimals back to percents. So let's just start by looking at example 1. It just gives us 3 percentages that we need to change to decimals, and I will teach you how to do this using the first example there, letter A, which asks us to convert 48% into a decimal. So here's what I want you to know for this lesson. I'm going to give you this little hint, which is called the Dr. Pepper method. Okay? This is an R. So think about D in Dr. Pepper standing for decimal and pepper standing for percentage. Okay? When we have a percent like 48%, you can think about Dr. Pepper and think about a decimal point being right here next to the P, to the right of the P. And if you're being asked to change a percent to a decimal, so to change a percent, this one, the P, to a decimal back here, then you would move your decimal place 2 spots to the left. So it would go from here in front of a decimal, 1, 2 places, and I know some of you were thinking, wait, about the R, you need to think of DR as 1 space standing for doctor. Okay, I didn't come up with this method, by the way, but I do think it's helpful if you forget the direction in which you need to move the decimal point. It does have flaws in the method, but it is a little reminder for you. So, and the reminder is when you're changing a percent to a decimal, you need to go 2 places back to the left. Okay, that's why we use the term Dr. Pepper. All right. So how does that work out when you're converting 48%? Well, 48% could be looked at as the decimal point falling to the right of it. Okay, so I'm going to move it back 2 places and put it on the left side of 48. Now, why does this work? Mathematically, let me show you. In a previous lesson, we converted percents to fractions, and you learned that the fraction form of 48% would be 48 per cent, okay, per 100, 48 over 100. Well, how would you write 48%, 48 over 100 as a decimal? It would be 48 hundredths, or 0.48. So if you don't like the Dr. Pepper method, if that's confusing, the R throws you off, just know that the mathematical way to get there you've already learned in a previous lesson. You just need to convert it to a fraction in hundredths place and then change that to a decimal. All right, so let me clear off this first example and we will try another one. All right, the next one says B is 9%, changing 9% to a decimal. So I'm going to think about it being a 9 point, okay, before I convert it. And I'm going to remember that from P going back to D, going back towards the decimal, I have to go 2 spaces to the left. Well, when I go 2 spaces to the left, I'm going past nothingness, empty space, okay? So that should tell you that there's going to be a 0 there, a placeholder. So 9% would be 0.09, or you would read that as 9 hundredths. And again, mathematically, 9% would be 9 per 100. And you should be able to see that this decimal and this fraction are equivalent. All right, but let's try it. Oh, let's actually do C because it has something a little bit different there. All right, letter C says 75.5%. 75.5%, changing that to a decimal. Now it already has a decimal in it. Let's move it. It's already there. I don't want to stick it here at the end of the 5 because that's not where it goes, okay? So let's just follow the directions. Go 2 spaces back to the left, and that would turn it into the decimal 0.755. Okay, so if the decimal's already there, you don't have to worry about figuring out where it goes. You can just move it 2 spaces to the left to convert it from a percentage to a decimal. All right, let's look at example 2, which is doing the opposite. They are giving you a decimal and asking you to turn it into a percent. Okay, so how would we read this? And I do this with you in class all the time. Instead of saying 0.13 or 0.13, I would say to you 13 hundredths. So you can write that down, 13 hundredths. Now that's not a percent, technically, but how could you read that? 13 per 100. 13%, okay? Using the Dr. Pepper method, this is how it would work. I'm going to rewrite Dr. Pepper. When I already have a decimal, you will see in this 13 hundredths that it is to the left of the decimal, of the number, the 13. So in my Dr. Pepper example, I'm going to put my decimal point on the left side. And to change it to a percent, I'm going to go 2 places to the right. And that would put it back here in my answer, right? Because that's where we envisioned that invisible decimal place is in a percent, okay? All right, let's do a couple more because I did go through that kind of quickly. Let's look at letter B in example 2. And it is 0.04, which is 4 hundredths, okay? So you might already know that 4 hundredths is 4%, and there you go, that's the answer. But let's use the Dr. Pepper method. I want to be consistent in the way I'm showing you how to do it. Again, as I say to you in almost every lesson, you use the method that is easiest for you. If this Dr. Pepper thing doesn't make any sense and it's making it more tricky for you, then don't do it, okay? But using the Dr. Pepper method, I would see that I have my decimal point, here on the left. I'm going to go 2 places to the right. I already have a decimal point here. 2 places to the right would put it on the right side of the 4, and I would still end up with 4%. One more, example 3, in example 2, letter C. They've already given you the decimal point again. Oh, actually, you had it in all 3 examples. 27 thousandths. So you can do it mathematically, that you write it out as a decimal. As a fraction. But I think in this situation, the easier way is to use the Dr. Pepper method. I'm going from decimal to percent, 2 spaces to the right. 2 spaces to the right would give me 2.7%. Okay. All right. Let me see here. I might be skipping ahead. I only have about 5 minutes left on this video, and I have a note to myself to go over number 57. So I'm going to jump there and do that with you now. If I have time, I will do a few more. If I don't have time, I am only making the one video for this lesson, but if it's not enough, if you're getting stuck with this, please feel free to email me. I want to help you out. So we will continue working on it individually if we need to. But look, change the page a couple times to 464, number 57. The reason I want to do this problem with you is because you're looking at a percentage over 100%, and I didn't want that to confuse you. And I will tell you, if you haven't been doing using a calculator, I highly recommend it in this lesson. It will be very helpful to you, and you will be able to use it on the test and even a quiz that I might give you this chapter. So it's fine. Ms. Winfrey lets students use a calculator during percentage lessons, so don't feel like you're cheating or whatever if you use the calculator. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to show you how to solve number 57 using a calculator. Okay, so the information given to us says that a movie made $1,582,000 at the box office, and its sequel made 104% of the original. Okay, now they want you to tell them how much money the sequel made, and so you would be, the mathematical problem that you're looking at is, what is 104% of, which is multiplication, okay, 1,582,000. Okay. The trick with multiplying percents is you cannot just type 104 into your calculator. 104 and 104% are not the same thing. So when you have to multiply percentages, you must change them to decimals first. And that's why this is included in this lesson, because we've been talking about changing percentages to decimals. So before you can solve this problem, you have to change 104% into a decimal. It is a percent, so I'm going to visualize my decimal point on the right side, and I'm going to go back to the left 2 places. That gives me the decimal 1.04 times this big number. Okay, when you multiply it, you use your calculator, because that's some bigger math. You should get, so if you want to pause it and work it out, do that. You should get the answer 1,645,280. Okay, so remember, I am kind of skipping ahead. Again, if you get stuck, just shoot me an email. But I know in the middle and 36 through 39, it tells you to find the percent of a number. So in that section, you have to change the percent back to a decimal before you do the multiplication, or you will get the wrong answer. All right, this lesson wraps up our week at home. You will be on spring break next week and not have to do math for 9 days if you count the weekends. I hope y'all have a wonderful spring break. I miss you so much, and I hope that we get back together before the end of the school year. Goodbye.